Good morning, everybody. We are obviously running out of time. Is this a privilege for me to shorten my contribution, or I will take my time, and I hope you will be interested enough to listen to me. But first of all, let me say thank you for the invitation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to collaborate with you, Dr. Silji, and your team in the network, Professors Network. It's been now already experience of 3 or 4 years, and it's really great progress that you are making, and congratulations for this. My today's topic is related to decision-making process in the European Union. It has to do with the issue majority voting or voting by consensus or unanimity. I'm talking about voting in European Council, a very important body, decision maker also in all issues related to common foreign and security policy. And the question that I want to share with you, some aspects, relates to one of the part of common foreign and security policy, which is related to enlargement. The question here is very frank: what are the reasons for delay with enlargement? Is the decision-making process has anything to do with that? I will try to share my personal views on that with you, which are maybe controversial for somebody. If you will all agree with me, then something is wrong. And I'm sure that these views are not also the views of my country, but there are different views there as well. There is a strong push to adopt qualified majority voting in foreign and security policy. Why? Because it is supposed to be more efficient decision-making, and geopolitical challenges that we confront with today require such decision-making efficiency. And also internal European Union dynamic requires this, whatever that means. But that would be relations between, let me put it very frank, between great big member states versus middle and smaller member states. The Conference of the Future of Europe pushes as well for broadening qualified majority voting, as they said, to prevent from blocking collective actions, particularly in response to crisis, and to facilitate, listen to this, stronger measures against member states that violate the basic principles of European Union, like rule of law, freedom of expression, and so on. Systematically and shortly, arguments pro and arguments against. So arguments pro, the reasons to abandon consensus. Consensus is the system that requires unanimous agreement of all member states. So the reasons are more efficiency in decision-making, higher speed of decision-making, higher speed of response, which is crucial for the time of crisis. The current security and geopolitical situation requires rapid reactions, and so on. And this is not possible in the case of consensus, and in the case of each member states have the power of veto. What are the arguments against? broadening qualified majority voting. First of all, there are challenges related to concerns over the European Union cohesion, internal understanding among member states, unity, sense of democracy, national sovereignty. And of course, there are a number of smaller and medium countries that resist to introduction of quality majority voting. Abandoning consensus is challenging because it is fundamental democratic design of the European Union. As you all know, European Union is an association of equal and sovereign states. Let me try to answer the three following questions. First, is the fear that the sovereignty of small member states is threatened justified? So is this fear justified? Second, how to ensure safeguards to smaller member states when using qualified majority voting to protect their vital specific interests, to alleviate concerns about losing influence, and not to feel to be marginalized and overruled by larger member states and their coalitions. And the third question would be, do we need additional sovereignty safety net? I will try to explain very briefly the existent sovereignty safety net, like emergency brake, like constructive abstention. And we will see if this is enough or additional are necessary. My research, reading theory and reading different discussions, and I have to say that the discussion is very controversial, especially political discussion, and also scientific discussion. But my findings, my attitudes general towards this issue is the following. The additional transition to qualified majority voting, by the way, we already have some basis for qualified majority voting in foreign security policy. But we are talking about here to broaden it, to unlimit it. So my understanding is that it might worsen political tensions within the European Union and could cause more frequent conflicts between member states. Unanimity, it's interesting, the theory argues the following point: unanimity fosters unity among member states. It is viewed as a significant internal democratic strength. Abandoning consensus could weaken European Union external credibility and also internal coherence. Broadening of majority does not guarantee nor encourage member states to negotiate, to find common grounds. It could even lead to more fragmented foreign policy and could undermine the collective stance of EU on global issues. And the following, if veto power that member states have, according to the treaties now, in the cases of foreign policy, even if it is not frequently utilized, its presence encourages member states to engage in discussions, to try to find compromises, to this way reduce the possible deadlocks. It is clear, and there's no doubt about that, that Treaty of European Union, without amendments already allow the implementation of qualified majority voting in common foreign security policy. And the legal basis for this are, as I mentioned, constructive abstention. So member states are permitted to be accepted from implementation the decision made by European Council. And second, so-called emergency break. This is also an exception that could be used in specific circumstances, however, respecting so-called principle of sincere cooperation. And there is also so-called passerelle clause that enables European Council to decide by consensus to introduce qualified majority voting. The general principle referring to this issue is Article 24 of Treaty of European Union that stipulates that common foreign and security policy is defined and implemented by the EC acting unanimously, except where the treaties provide otherwise, and otherwise is provided in the articles that I have quoted: constructive abstention, emergency break, and passerelle clause. Just one or two words for constructive abstention. I'm sure that you are familiar with this. Any member state can, when abstaining a vote, qualify this as in a formal declaration, and in that case, member state is not obliged to apply the decision which is taken without this member state. However, it should accept that decision is taken, and in spirit of mutual solidarity, following the principle of sincere cooperation, the member state should refrain from any action which conflicts or impedes EU action from this decision. So it's a formal declaration. It is not obliged to apply, but it is obligation to accept it and not to cause problems referring to its implementation. So the member state using constructive abstention is not formally bound, but it must respect the principle of sincere cooperation, which is one of the basic principles from the treaty. Member states must refrain from acts which would contradict the decision or could reduce the effectiveness of its implementation. Emergency break. This is an important right to oppose in the case of qualified majority voting. The member state can oppose, can prevent this decision. However, it is very important that the reasons for this making obstacles to the decision should be justified in the terms of national security, vital national interest, and so on. And the basic issue here is, according to theory and some also court decision, how to interpret so-called vital national interests which give the ground for emergency break. The interpretation here should not be too broad and should should consider a strategic interests of the European Union. So emergency break is possible only in the case when member states consider that the proposed measure would jeopardize member states' essential interests. And what are these essential interests is a matter of interpretation. So the discretion on this should not go too far, should not be too broad, and may not completely prevent the decision-making by qualified majority. I have already mentioned the principle of sincere cooperation, Article 4, Paragraph 3, Treaty of European Union, and it is important that application of emergency brake that I have just explained is subject to compliance with the principle of sincere cooperation. So when you use the right to oppose, to brake, to prevent the decision by qualified majority voting, you have to act within the principle of sincere cooperation. And that is that member states shall, in full mutual respect, assist to each other, respect common goals, and so on, so on. So when this principle is applied, member states must refrain from acting in contradict with the adopted proposals and should not undermine its effectiveness in international relations. So there is enough room for interpretation and no necessity for additional regulation or amendments to the treaty. There are requirements to amend the treaty in this concern. The passerelle clause, there is no need to explain this. I'm sure that you know. It is a unanimous decision to introduce qualified majority voting. It is a safety mechanism, but with enough limitations not to be expanded too much. Let me conclude with some final remarks, which are, as I said, my own reflections, reading this literature and political attitudes. First of all, I think that qualified majority decision-making process could be faster, could be shorter, but at the same time, it offers less ground for seeking positive compromises, and it offers lower willingness and motivation to reach a compromise. Theory is saying that it is negative indirect effect of abandoning consensus. Negative indirect effect. So qualified majority voting does not really contribute to European Union's ability to manage conflicts between members. So it's more or less an illusion. Like it is illusion that this type of decision-making is a magic wand that will suddenly make EU decision-making more efficient. The power of large countries to outvote small countries will not contribute to more cohesion, internal democracy, tolerant dialogue, and also quality decision-making. And these are the values that are the ground of European Union cooperation. Considering the interest of all nations, regardless the size, is one of the democratic values of European founding treaties. And finally, the founding treaties now, if they are correctly interpreted, contain safety mechanisms to ensure that no member state could be dictated to an issue which is vital for national interests when qualified majority voting is applied. So the mechanisms are already here, no necessity to broaden this. And just the final thought that is related to our topic of enlargement policy. Namely, I'm raising here the issue of European Union credibility. An enlargement policy that is full of delays in one period and hasty in the next period, such policy does not inspire the necessary credibility. And this is not a decision-making process. This is the real ground for delays. For example, North Macedonia waited 60 years, Bosnia and Herzegovina 7 years to achieve candidate status. Montenegro is negotiating since 2012 and Serbia since 2014, so more than 10 years. Slovenia took more than 10 years to fulfill all obligations to become a member, and a group of 10 countries at that time. In the case of Moldova, Ukraine and Georgia, European Commission needed only 4 months to complete the assessment. So justifying enlargement should be balanced by, on one side, fulfilling the Copenhagen criteria, and on the other side, emphasizing geopolitical necessity, not just the latter. In order to maintain the legitimacy as one of the conditions for public support. So predictable and credible European Union enlargement policy can only be a sound signal to candidate countries that their aspiration for membership are taken seriously and could accelerate their integration into EU structure. Thank you for your attention.